to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C., looking around the globe at the best practices. What are those best practices? It's the technologies, the processes, and the services that can take us through the 21st century, not at just a sustainable level, but actually an increased quality of life. How do we need to do this? We need to increase the production of fuel, of food, and fiber, all three things, and also to provide jobs, because jobs is a key ingredient in any society that gives human dignity to humankind, both men and women within the society. And so as we look at the 143 nations, we're looking at where are some model projects, some activities that are going on that can be used in these various things. Because if you look at the motto of the Emerald Planet, the last word is link. How do we link the resources, the technologies, the processes, and the products with those that are in great need? We have Erik Hagberg is with us. He is the CEO and founder of PAC International, which is headquartered actually in multiple places in the Caribbean, the United States, and specifically the South Pacific for the last 10 years. And we're going to right into this. We have one of our first slides up, and the whole notion about this is the brown gold, and sea cucumbers come in various colors. It's not like what's in your local garden variety. Normally they're brown, but they could be a variety of different colors. So what is a sea cucumber, Erik? Why is it important? And why 10 years of your life in the South Pacific? Very broad question, but
Dr. Hancock, I'll start by saying thank you for having me back on the show and report on a very successful year of field work. The Pacific captivated my attention many years ago when I realized that it had the vast potential to feed the world's growing population. And as I researched more and more, I later discovered that also has the potential for the next generation of medicines to the world's most threatening and debilitating diseases.
Well, you know, the thing about that, bringing in the South Pacific, and we have this about the sea cucumber, and I'm just going to leave this up for the next couple of minutes. But it's you know, I see this really more than that because of the amount of time we spent together, and we've talked about this project and all that, is that you really see these very vulnerable, these very isolated areas really can be the examples for much larger nations. And so an area that people just, in most cases, don't even think about actually could be the leaders of what's happening in this whole notion of sea level rise, climate change, and just everything else.
That's very true. And one of the reasons is that these remote places, these coral atolls, are still in their pristine condition. And that is integral into creating a sustainable production system that provides organic protein sources, organically derived components for the biopharmaceutical and medical industry.
And see, this is really a growing area that I don't think many people know about. We think about the pharmaceuticals as being something derived from whatever it is, but it's usually synthetic. We're thinking about it. But yet you have the sea cucumber, which I'm going to now let you start talking about, is out there, it's alive, and it's all natural. And that's how you've actually developed this system over the last 10 years with your research. Is this all natural, no fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, you know, any kinds of chemicals, and so you reduce the transportation, all these things.
Absolutely. Pearl farming was my first passion in marine biology, but when I began to learn more and more and discover more about sea cucumbers, I realized that it was such a superior opportunity because we can establish very rapidly the largest farms in the world. We do not have to feed, we don't have to clean, we don't have to pen, so there's the cost is much lower, the human environmental impact is much lower,
and also too,
and the yield is larger.
Yeah, and also you're bringing almost full employment into areas where maybe fully half of the adult population, maybe even higher, is actually unemployed.
Part of the reason why sea cucumber is such an attractive opportunity to these remote communities is there's so few people there, yet they have such a large amount of resources. So there's more than ample opportunity for the whole community to work together. This can be women. Women are very active in our programs. Men, young men, elderly, just about everybody can get involved. And as you can see here from this slide, we use modern technology, satellite images, to...
Well, it's the latest technologies with traditional cultures.
That's right.
And what you're doing is you're blending these two together, which is the best of all worlds.
That's right.
But looking at this whole notion as far as the women involved, what is some of the impact you're having with that?
Well, it's so important for women to get involved because they're providers for their families and they're looking after the entirety of their family. So when they're earning income directly, they're really rolling that back into the food security and the social security of their family. And they're committed workers, and they've just made a huge outpouring in terms of stepping forward and volunteering to be sea cucumber farmers.
Looking at, excuse me, lost my voice. Go ahead.
Here's a photo of our team. On the left, we have the chief of Arno Atoll. He's a tremendously large landowner, but he's a humble man, and he stepped forward to lead his community to engage in a new business practice that has the potential to help nearly everybody, inhabitants of the atoll. To his right is one of my brilliant advisors. I couldn't have got to where I am today without the help of my advisors. And Tamara Raven has been out on site with me in the Marshall Islands on 2 different occasions, and with her help, she and I were able to get 1 million sea cucumbers under cultivation in only 1 month, and that's a huge effort. And going back here, you can see we've motivated nearly the entire village in this specific area to participate in this program. And what these people are doing is they're collecting the juvenile sea cucumbers. We're standing by, giving additional instruction, providing a rotating harvest and farming schedule, adjusting the crop that's being brought in. We're targeting juveniles that are 1 to 5 inches, and then we put those out to mature in deeper water where in only a few months they mature and are ready for harvest. So here we're outside the reef, and these ladies are working in only ankle-deep water. Each bucket they fill up, they're earning $5, and it's then transferred to the lagoon where it's spread out on bottom-dwelling farm area, and in 18 months the harvest will begin.
Well, the interesting thing about all this is that you're taking and setting up land contracts, but it's all underwater.
That's right. And part of the benefit of that is that these are not disputed areas. And these are areas that are considered common for all and everybody has access to. So by using a community-based approach and a cooperative approach, there's very little resistance to utilizing these areas. They're considered before now to have no value, no productive capability.
Well, looking at the islands and then the coral reef, tell us some of the impact of this and why it's very important to start using this area.
Mm-hmm. Well, land-based protein, and carbohydrate sources are now faltering for a number of climatic reasons: drought, flooding, non-productive agricultural areas, and over human population. So now we have some of the largest untapped and untouched resources in the world, and it's actually a volumetric area. So it's not only the surface of a lagoon or an atoll that can be farmed, actually it can be farmed on many different levels.
Well, tell us about the size of this and also the depth. I understand that the depth of these things are really important, and that has a great impact as far as the viability of the growth of the sea cucumber from a little fingerling about the size of one's finger up to 8-9 inches, which is ideal.
Where our ideal geological parameters are marine areas from 1 to 60 feet deep, because they're accessible to all of the local divers. And we're targeting the largest atolls in the Pacific because they have enormous productive capability. Some of these atolls are over 200 square miles. In fact, in Tahiti, the atoll is 600 square kilometers, and the entirety of the area is available for sea cucumber farming because it's all under 100 feet.
I tell you, that's just absolutely amazing. And looking at what we have here as far as the indigenous peoples that live in this area, they can take something that's a waste to some people, and now it becomes a natural resource. It's just like using these buoys are used for the fishing nets that have either been destroyed or lost from the ships. All of a sudden they can be used for fishing and bringing in the sea cucumber. But this is really a close-up of the sea cucumber. starting at what you call juveniles or
Right.
fingerlings, and then as they evolve and develop. Tell us a little bit about this process, and again, the importance of having something that looks like this. Actually, almost has no form to it whatsoever.
This is a before and after photo. On top, you can see that we've collected juvenile sea cucumbers from 1 to 3.5 inches, and only 18 months later, I collected from the seeded area, and sure enough, they had nearly tripled in size. And that's an extraordinary growth rate. And again, we did not have to have any external inputs into the system to achieve that growth. So this is a truly organic product. It grows very rapidly. It's actually a very malleable creature, and this is
and
part
also
of.
it's very high value added, and this is one of the things we want to bring across. It's not just the fact of the lack of or the need for the lack of inputs. The fact is that this is a world market. And now even in Western societies are using the sea cucumber not just for medicinal purposes, but also for foodstuffs. And so this is really something that's very, very important.
Well, it's so important, in fact, that in countries like the Solomon Islands, 80% of the population is deriving a significant portion of their income from sea cucumber farming. The problem is regulation is not sufficient to maintain that on a year-to-year basis, so they're following boom and bust cycles that are good in harvest years, but they're very poor in moratorium years. Using the pack methods, we can regulate the industry, increase the overall productivity, and provide an ongoing source of income on a daily, weekly, monthly, and annual basis.
And also you're using the natural resources, which is humankind. You're using these atolls, the lagoons, and then also all these people have their own boats, and so they're being able to get involved. You have many women, and of course you're bringing the children into all this, and I tell you, it's just absolutely a fantastic thing to allow all this to happen. And so looking at this in a wrap-up, we have about 30 seconds. What would you like to share with our viewing audience from around the globe about sea cucumbers, why sea cucumbers, and what's in it for the future?
Well, I think what's in it for the future is probably some meals at gourmet restaurants and at home. What's in it is good health, sustainable source of protein, and a fantastic new product that people can feel good about eating.
And this is something that may be coming to your restaurant, maybe even your own table at home. And as we look at the whole notion, and actually even have the packaging already laid out for you out there, the consumer. But thank you for being with us as we look around the globe, looking at how we're going to create the Emerald Planet.